Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Councilman Thompson.
Here.
Baker. Here. Happy.
Here.
Keller.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Mayor Fowler.
Here.
All right, any additions or amendments to the agenda?
I don't have any.
All right. Move to adoption of the consent agenda.
I move we adopt the consent agenda, approval of city council minutes for July 8th. City council workshop minutes of July 8th, 2024. Ratification of bills in the amount of $247,660.73.
I second.
My comment is on 3A.
I understand. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep. Do you have public comment on 3A?
Sorry. Sorry.
Hello, my name is Courtney Kyleman. Want to talk about city council minutes since resolution 1509 has not been enacted yet. I just want to point out that in this week's packet, it lays out what needs to be included in the minutes. And it says that the general subject matter of comments, people present. There's some spots in the minutes from last week that says Courtney Kyleman, Tiffany Pruitt, and somebody else said some stuff, but not the subject matter or anything else included in that. And I understand that 1509 is going to change some things going forward, but since that hasn't been enacted yet, I would like to include everything from last 2 weeks ago, council meeting in the minutes. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Moved by Butch and then seconded by Ms. Erling Baker. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Compton.
Aye.
Aye. Happy.
Aye.
Keller.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Mayor Fowler.
Aye.
All right. Moving on to item 4, appearance of interested citizens to share a variety of perspectives on issues facing our community. Mr. Nance.
Hello, council. Thank you very much. My name is Albert Nance. I am a local citizen and also a business owner. Actually come here with very happy news. I wanted to come and say thank you all very much for approving the OLCC, for acknowledging and approving the OLCC special event permit that I had. We were able to raise almost $700 for Hood River Adopt a Dog, which, as you all know, is the only dog shelter in the entirety of the county. So we were able to raise a lot of funds for them, and through some generous donations, we're also able to make some adults and some very young kids very happy with some of the raffle prizes that they won. So I want to say thank you all very much for the approval and for the acknowledgement of the permit. And I just want to give you guys an update. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. All right. Item 5, public hearing.
Sorry, one I forgot to write out, Sarah Crook from CAT wanted to do a quick public comment.
Oh,
She just hopped on. Sarah, go ahead.
Hi, how are you? Yeah, I just wanted to promote a program that CAT is trying this summer as a pilot program to get the youth out and about of Cascade Locks and on the CAT bus. Do I have the ability to share the flyer I have? No, okay. Anyway, I have some flyers around town. There's one up at the city hall. Essentially, when youth riders ride the CAT bus into Hood River, stop by the CAT office, they can win one of 4 prizes. The first prize is a ice cream cone at Mike's. The second prize is swim pass at the Hood River Aquatic Center. Third prize is a gift certificate to Pietro's off their kids menu. And the fourth prize, thanks to Maddie Green, he has donated a half-hour free pedicab ride for those youth riders that get to that fourth ride. So like I said, I have information up at the City Hall. It's really simple. All they have to do is ride the bus and stop into the CAT office, and I'd be more than happy to get more flyers out about it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else for public comment? That's it,
Yeah, that's all I had, yes, thank you.
all right. Moving on to item 5, public hearing.
All right, no public hearing today.
Excellent, all right, 6A, fill a city council vacancy.
All right, after council failed to reach the 4 affirmative vote threshold at the June 24th and July 8th meetings, council decided to table the action until July 22nd, when all 6 remaining council members are scheduled to be in attendance. Council reopened the application window until the close of business July 16th. The previously submitted applicants are still eligible. This appointment will complete the term made vacant by the resignation of Tamara Farrell. The term ends on December 31st, 2024. We had no new applicants. We still have the same 2, Bernard Seeger and Courtney Kyleman. Council's options are to appoint a new council member or to not appoint any applicants.
Thank you. I propose that before we move to actually having a motion, we talked about actually having an opportunity to bring them up and ask some questions. Do you think that'd be value added?
Possibly because it's the third time, but I do think it's smart that we ask the same question each time.
I agree. Mr. Miller, what do you think?
Well, sure. I didn't hear any questions.
I know I didn't give everybody any time for that. So, and we do, I think it is important that we ask the same questions of each candidate.
Okay,
Want to take maybe 30 seconds and think of a couple of questions that, you know, a primary question and a backup in case somebody asks the same question that you already wrote down.
Leave me till last and I'll have time.
What's that?
Say, leave me till last and I'll have time.
All right. You guys got some questions in your mind, Mr. Keller? All right, well, I think for the sake of, should we just go in the order that they're listed here? Why don't we have Mr. Seeger go first? Thank you for being here this evening. Appreciate you. Your interest in filling the vacancy. I guess, why don't we start with Mr. Keller on that end over there?
All right. In your leadership style, how do you use nonverbal communication to positively communicate with others, I guess?
So nonverbal. For me, I feel like it's just about your energy. Anybody who spends time with me, they'll know I'm a high energy person. I often tell people I have 2 speeds, 0 and 100, you know. And so when I'm engaged in a project or a conversation, my energy will often present itself before I even said a word. And I struggle hard to be authentic in my energy. And I've learned, you know, in my work in local government and the Army, that authenticity, even if it maybe rub a few shoulders wrongly, is still always your best, best way to put your foot forward. So I'd like to think my energy and my authenticity would be the nonverbal cues that I would emanate in a conversation or a challenge.
okay, thank you for being here. What do you think are the top 3 things that are important to you and that you bring to this council for this next 5-month period?
Yeah, So as I stated in my letter of interest, the number one priority I think the council should focus on is the financial challenges the city faces. The fact that we pondered eliminating our contract for police services was pretty startling to me, and I'm sure others in the community. And it speaks to our inability to meet our general service needs, if that's where we were at that time. Fortunately, we did some thorough process to find the funds to do that, but we're not there yet. And that was very much in my mind, a short-term Band-Aid fix. The fact that we only funded it for 9 months instead of 12 is, to me, a clear evidence of that. So the fiscal challenges, I think, should be our top priority. The next one, it speaks to that, is just economic development in our downtown. We still need to improve our industrial tax base. That was an issue when I was here in 2007, 2011. It's gotten a little better, but my goodness, I mean, the port still has a lot of land that's basically fallow. And that challenges every community when you don't have a retail and residential tax base buttressed by an industrial tax base. So I think the council should put energy in partnership with the port on doing everything from, downtown redevelopment focus, as well as finding, new businesses who could fill that space out in the many acres of port land that would, improve all our services by bolstering the general fund. And the third piece would be just kind of quality life. I feel like Cascade Locks has a lot to offer, but there's always small things you can do to improve the quality of life for all income levels. One thing that I bumped into recently, I have two friends they're in the retail world. One works for a restaurant, actually both of them work for restaurants. And I asked them, why don't you use the bridge much? They said, well, I have to pay the $3 each way. I'm like, why don't you use the scanner? Well, the $20, you can't do that program unless you put up $20 up front. The Hood River County requires a Hood report. I feel like that's a barrier. If it was 10 or maybe 5, then more folks, again, some of our lower income residents would take advantage of that and have more freedom to travel the gorge. Like folks who, like myself, we don't take issue with spending $20 to start the thing. So there's small things like that you bump into. It's like, man, we should take that on and try to improve those things for the quality of our residents.
Thank you.
Well, I think my question is almost duplicate to hers. What do you see as a main goal of the city council?
So the council should be the policy-making body that gives direction to the city administrator and staff on what we want to achieve as a community. We're a listening body for the residents. We're a deliberative body to wrestle with values that every community, has to take on to resolve problems. And hopefully, move issues forward in a positive way. I think being civil and being respectful in our conversations is a critical point in how this council should operate. And if we do that, I'd like to think, even when we disagree, we can leave the meeting and, have a cup of coffee or a glass of beer and still be friends with that council member and not hold grudges when a specific item doesn't go their way. But the policy making piece I think is the number one task. And that's not only like, what orders we pass, but how we allocate resources. So those two big things are what most councils are focused on when they're trying to deliberate the business of the city.
Thank you. And let's go to Mr. Crompton. You prepared? You got a question for?
Yeah, Bernard, how do you see yourself fitting into this current council?
Well, I don't have any preconceived notions. I would, if I was appointed, one of my first steps would be to try to get to meet every one of you on an individual basis, maybe go to lunch or have coffee or something to the effect where we can share our hopes for the city. So I can better understand where each of us came from, you know, what informs our values and what issues individual council members feel are important for us to be working on. So that would be my start point. And then, you know, I would like to try to bring humor and fun to not only those conversations, but all the work we do. Just because that's kind of how I am. When I was a kid, I was always a class clown, and that little part hasn't died in me. So I'm always looking for things to brighten the conversation or have some fun. So.
And Mayor Fallon.
Hi, welcome Bernard. Thank you for being here. My question is, could you describe what are your best practices when working with a group of individuals who may have diverse or different opinions or communication styles?
Sure. So, you know, we did a lot. I did a lot of this in project management. I did project management both in the Army and in local government. And, you know, you can get as elaborate as doing like, you know, assessment of people's personalities if you're going to be with a team for a long time. I don't think that's always necessary, but that's one course of action to get to know each other better, find out who's an extrovert, who's an introvert, who's in the middle. And then, you know, your communication style should reflect that type of personality when you're working on a problem. One of the projects I'm most proud of was adopting and deploying a new utility billing system for the city of Gresham. It's like a $2 million project, very in-depth. It took us about a year and a half. And we had a big group of experts that were plugged into this, from finance, from the utility billing, from, you know, the meter reading process, all these different aspects. And, you know, as I was a project manager, it very clear to me, some folks were quiet and some folks kind of wanted to dominate the meeting. So in those instances, I was very deliberate to, you know, pause our extroverts or domineering personalities and call out the ones who were quieter, who I knew had value to add to these conversations. And I feel like they enjoyed that because they were heard, but also they enjoyed it because they saw their knowledge being applied to solving these problems. If you're not careful and you don't include all the voices on an issue, you won't be as successful in solving those problems. And we saw it time and time after again. Even if the question was, you know, one of the ladies was Donna. It's like, Donna, you know, do you agree with how this conversation has ended? And her just give me a thumbs up, knew that we had properly assessed the issue and her concerns were addressed. So, you know, it's that type of engagement I'd like to try to bring to this group. And I wouldn't be afraid to, you know, call on a council member. It's like, I haven't heard from so-and-so, you know, if they've been quiet on an issue, because I am curious on where folks stand on issues, even if that's not of the same perspective as I am.
I think that was it for me. My question, Emily Baker asked top 3 issues facing the city. My question for you is, how do you feel like you're uniquely positioned to assist council in addressing those needs?
Yeah, so, I mean, the finance stuff, not only was I, you know, helping manage the city for 4 years, so I know this budget particularly well, but I went on to Gresham, and while I wasn't the budget director, I was the finance director, and we collaborated a lot on all the work. Budget's so big for Gresham, they had a specific director who handled just that, you know, and they had budget analysts and, you know, that whole party to manage that. But inevitably, you know, our paths crossed, and I spent a lot of time analyzing, you know, revenue forecasts and expenditures. And then I had my own divisions to manage. You know, we had facilities, parks, and fleet were part of my department. And we had to go through some budget cuts. So we went through, you know, a similar exercise we were wrestling with in this past budget on how we prioritize the resources to meet our core needs. And I've walked that road on numerous occasions. So I feel like those two experiences, are gonna be strongly suited for me to help the council, try to best manage what we're facing right now. The quality of life, so when I was in Lewis County, I actually, was a policy analyst for the county administrator. And I was in charge of revamping the code enforcement program there. So I spent a lot of time not only looking at code challenges that the county is facing, but developing a system. We had an ordinance enforcement officer, and we built a spreadsheet, we got a software system, and put a pretty neat program in place to improve those small things that bother citizens from day to day and improve the quality of life of the county. Let's see, the economic development, look, I cut my teeth on trying to recruit Nestle, so I've spent my time that and the resort casino project. So I have a fair amount of experience, on the economic development piece. So I know the challenges and pitfalls, and probably better appreciate the importance of community buy-in, even if it's bigger than our city, which I think was the challenge that faced at least one of those projects. But for that, as much as I think the key part for our city on bringing economic development here is just creating a sound fiscal environment for businesses to thrive in. So, low to reasonable utility rates, we have a low property tax base already. This is a cheap place to conduct business, from a city perspective. We have other challenges that each business is gonna wrestle with, but if we continue to do that well and provide good water, sewer, electric, street traffic, all those services, if we do that well, that's our piece of that pie on bringing in economic development here. The port has the more, focused task on actually courting businesses, and we would play a partner in that. And, again, we did that when I was the manager here, so again, I'm familiar with that role. Not only working with the port, but even the county and some of the things we worked on, so just a couple of things.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, thanks. Sound. Wordage is got it a little bit better. How do you use nonverbal communication in your leadership style?
I tend to want to hear what people have to say all the time. It doesn't matter if I agree with them or not. I enjoy hearing different perspectives. That's how we learn and grow. By not being in an echo chamber. I naturally smile when people talk. I find that very often people say, wow, I can't believe I just told you all that. I would like to think it's because I create a very open environment where people feel comfortable to express themselves or their opinions, regardless of what they think I would feel about it.
And again, my wording should be similar, but what do you think are the three big issues that you want to deal with in this 5 months position?
I thought you said the top three things I bring to.
Well, I
city
did say
council.
that, but
It's a little
but
bit different of
so
intention.
then, okay, then the top three things that you bring to the issues you think are important in this 5 months.
I feel like I represent a very large portion of our community from what I have gleaned talking to people, discussing current issues. It seems like, I would be able to bring their voices to city council. I do have some experience with budgeting, not as extensive as some people. When I was part of the Head Start program. And I feel like I could contribute that way, as well as in my transparency. I feel like that there's a lot of community members that aren't as up to date with current events, or what's going on in council. People don't know until the day before that something's being voted on. I feel like I know enough people that if I talk to them about, you know, hey, this is coming up, or this is what city council is talking about, it would get the word out to a lot of people.
Thank you.
Okay, what do you see as a main goal of city council?
The main goal is representing our community, and reflecting the future that they want for the town, financially, economically. And that's what I intend to do.
Mr. Compton?
Ms. Comment, how do you see yourself fitting into this current council?
Again, by representing a large demographic in the community, I've been to enough meetings now where I feel like I know some of you a little bit. I feel like I understand you guys. I am very much a rule follower. I like to know the rules. I had a lot of fun on the charter review committee, learning about the ins and the outs of what's expected here. I'm just, yeah, abiding by the laws.
Mayor Brown?
Hello, Courtney, welcome. Thank you for being here. My question was, describe some of your best practices when working with a group with diverse or maybe different opinions, kind of your communication style.
Again, I always feel like everybody has something valid to say. I love to listen. I love to learn new things, and take it into account in the decisions that I make. When I worked with Head Start, there was a very large room full of very passionate parents, who wanted the best for their children's education. There were several times where I was able to help get everybody on the same page, you know, be able to translate's not the right, kind of reword what was being said so that it was more understood to everybody, simplifying larger ideas and concepts. And it really, it brought everybody together. It was stunning. And phones are getting a little sweaty. I get a little nervous. Apologize.
Do you have anything else to add?
No.
And then, your question changed slightly, or maybe I misunderstood it the first time around, but I think you understood what I was asking, which is how do you feel like you're best equipped to address the top 3 issues facing the city? Or to help council, I guess, address the top 3 issues facing the city.
By listening to what the people say, by representing our community. We have a budget committee. We have tons of citizens with wonderful ideas and clever solutions, that are welcome to bring any ideas to the table. It doesn't have to necessarily be a person on council to be able to recommend solutions to some of our problems. Yeah, I represent our community, and I would hope that I would represent the future that they want to see.
Thank you very much. We have a motion?
I move that we seek Courtney Kyleman as city council person.
We have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Discussion?
I just want to say thank you both for being here 3 times, and you both have great things to offer. So this is just a temporary position, and I hope you are both considering the larger positions coming up. So thank you.
Mr. Miller, do you have anything?
No, we have 2 excellent people here, and it has been a very difficult choice. And so, but you know me, I'm a a rule stickler. And I'm going by what was put on here the first time.
Being that they need to be here for the. Mr. Keller?
I'm struggling mightily with this decision. It's been weighing on me for the past month. I hear what you are offering, Mr. Miller, and the candidate that was here did not receive the votes, and I'm struggling with the actions that occurred after that moment. And as much as I support that candidate, I don't know where to go. I am a strong proponent of civil discourse and finding civility in where you're at. And
Compton?
I think that we have a very good group of candidates here in front of us. It's what makes it so difficult to choose. I'm making my decision more on like, I don't know, a gut feeling, but I think we have two great candidates. And I know that they both represent a portion of Cascade Lock. So either way, the city will do well if we choose one or the other.
Mayor Fallon?
Hi, I want to thank both of them. I'm really appreciative that we have two, and they're both very strong candidates. But speaking with or hearing Mr. Keller, I'm a big fan of civil discourse, and that weighs a lot on me. And because of when you disagree with something, we have to be appropriate in any time of meeting, whether we're at a conference or in our small little city, city hall. And that's where I stand.
Thank you. Appreciate everybody's time kind of working through this, and I'm really grateful for both of our candidates for taking our questions. I feel like this is a very important decision that we have to make, and hearing your responses to the questions we have, I think gives us a little more information. So I appreciate that. I know it takes up time of our meeting, but I think it's a big decision. I think everybody's heard what I've had to say. I feel like a vote for one applicant doesn't mean that I don't support the other one. Really my number one focus, I feel like after going through the budget review process, is getting our finances straight. And having a candidate that's got experience that can help us find more long-term solutions to those financial problems, I think is really in the best interest of the community as a whole. I think that when everybody's kind of talking about the outburst after you were frustrated about the way that things went, I don't think that reflects who you are, Ms. Cowman. I think that was an emotional response. I don't know you well, but I just think that was maybe not your best moment. I don't necessarily hold that against you. This really just comes down to experience, in my opinion. So, any other discussion?
I didn't really say, again, I value both of you, and for me, wanting somebody who has this, I think you both represent a part of the community that maybe some of us don't, and I appreciate that in your time and your outreach and the people that you know, so I appreciate that. And I'm voting for somebody who has this, can jump in really strongly and knows about our finances, knows about our has experience working with county and city, and that piece is really important to me, because the more I have to vote on things, the more I learn I need to do more research, I need to reach out, so that's where my vote is going as well.
Anybody else have any other items for discussion? Okay, no further discussion, roll call vote.
Councilmember Crompton,
Aye.
Aaron Baker, no. Happy,
No.
Keller,
Miller,
Did I, sorry, I didn't hear you.
No.
Aye.
Mayor Fowler.
No.
Motion does not pass. We have another motion.
I'd like to move to not appoint Bernard Singer to the, for the open. Okay, I motion to appoint Bernard Singer to fill the council vacancy term that expires on December 31st, 2024.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Motion's been seconded. Discussion? New discussion?
I just want to say it's hard, and every time we do a stale vote, it means we have one less member, one less point of view. For our other upcoming issues, which I think are going to be a lot. So I'm really hoping that this council, while this is very hard, but it's a difficult decision, I'm hoping that this council will not delay this longer. We have 5 months before the next election, and we need another voting member on this council.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing no further discussion, we'll call vote.
Councilmember Compton,
Aye.
Beverly Baker,
Aye.
Happy,
Aye.
Keller,
Aye.
Miller,
No.
Mayor Fowler.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-1.
We will now seat Bernard Singer as the newest council member.
Here,
Oh.
I state your name.
I, Bernard Seeger,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that as counselor of the city of Cascade, Oregon,
that as counselor of the city of Cascade Locks, Oregon,
I will uphold the Constitution of the United States,
I will uphold the Constitution of the United
the
States,
state of Oregon,
state of Oregon,
the city charter and ordinances,
the city charter and ordinances,
and will faithfully execute
and will faithfully execute
the duties entrusted to me.
the duties entrusted to me. Today.
Take a seat.
Eric, can you put that microphone to the other side of your desk? Thank you.
Well, welcome, Mr. Seeger. Good to have you. Moving on to 6B.
All right, resolution 1509, designation of official city minutes. At the July 8 work session, council came to consensus to move forward to a vote, the adoption of digital recordings of the official minutes in place of written minutes. Resolution 1509 will designate the digital recordings as the official minutes of all city meetings, and the recordings will be treated and stored as such. ORS 192.650 allows the city to use digital recordings as the official minutes in place of written minutes. City staff will still write action minutes for approval in consent agenda. Digital recordings will be saved on a SharePoint file. City staff will be able to timestamp each discussion point for easier review. A link to the SharePoint file will be provided on the city's agendas and minutes webpage. Recordings will still be available via YouTube. Staff is currently researching AI tools to provide transcripts if required. City council options are to approve resolution 1509 as presented, and then approve resolution 1509, or not approve resolution 1509.
I just want to clarify your final sentence, says, staff is researching AI tools to provide transcripts if requested, not required.
Oh, sorry, yes, requested, yeah.
And can you clarify, what do you mean by, action minutes of approval and the consent agenda? What does that mean?
Action minutes are who made, or what the motion was, who made it, who seconded it, and the results of the vote, that's it. No mention of the discussion or anything, just what the action item was.
Got it.
So it'll be a page, make more like half a page in each consent agenda for approval.
And we have a motion?
Yeah.
Do we have comment? Oh, yes, thank you. Get it in the right order here. Ms. Pruitt, 6B.
Again, it feels like we're working for the staff and not the citizens. I understand you're trying to streamline everybody's job. But how will the elderly have access? That don't have internet or don't have access? What happens if there's a failure? Are you gonna post the audio to online so that people can hear it? Or, and, are you gonna upgrade the system, because this one sucks? I mean, it's just all around sucks, and will it be the same for committees? Maybe some questions that you should answer, I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion.
I motion to approve resolution 1509. Designating digital recordings as the official city minutes.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Motion has been seconded. Discussion.
As I was. Go ahead.
Mayor.
I just returned from the OMA, the Oregon Mayors Association Conference down in Klamath Falls. I'm still not back to Cascade Locks yet, but this was a topic I did ask several mayors, and quite a few of them looked at me like I was nuts. They're like, "You mean to tell me you do every word?" And a lot of them have moved towards digital. They're using AI, they're using digital. If anybody has a challenge with the digital portion of it, there's a way that they can print it out. So we're not the only ones that are moving to this style.
Thank you. It's Everly Baker.
As I made the motion, it's something I brought up last time as well. And a point well taken by the Ms. Pruitt is that could there be a written, is it easy to do a written transcript of the video that's saved? I mean, we don't write it, it's just created by AI or.
I've not known. of
Yeah,
this.
that's what the AA technology would do.
So we're researching that because for ability access, some people need to read, not listen or watch. So to be accessible for as many folks as we can, I'm hoping that there will be, you said on request. If it is on request, that's fine. But we need to make, I'm hoping for good advertisement to folks that they can request a written version online or to be picked up.
Yes.
And then as we talked in the past, is there some sort of language translator that is attached to this?
We're researching that as well.
We're researching that, thank you.
So, point of clarification, so AI tools to provide transcripts if requested, does that mean if it's requested by council to provide a written transcript? Or are you saying it's only going to be provided if somebody from one of the citizens comes forward and requests a written transcript?
The thought was if public requested, but if council wants it as well, they can have it, but the thought was for public access.
Because I'm in agreement with Mr. Merlin Baker. I'd have a hard time supporting this if we didn't have a written transcript. I think it's a big ask to have somebody on staff typing up these minutes, and I think that our valuable staff time to be spent on higher level, things. But I do think it's important to have a transcript. So I understand that the digital recording meets the requirements, but I'm curious to hear what council has to think about. I guess, is a feeling on requesting a written transcript still being provided if it's created using AI tools?
Can Mr. Peterson talk about his comment that was in the chat?
Yes, hi. The main transcribing service out there used by a lot of people using Zoom is called otter.ai. You can look it up. Many Fortune 500 companies use it. It uses a secure protocol. It's been cleared to use for government use. So go ahead and take a look if you like.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Mr. Seeger. So I want to apologize to staff because I want to assure you, it will be my normal protocol to provide your questions before the council meeting, but I'm gonna ask a few that this are, from, without you having time to look into it. My first question was, do we have a sense on how much time this will save staff if we adopt this policy and solution?
At minimum, I would say probably 2 days a week.
Minimum.
Yeah,
2.5 days.
back in May, when we had budget, council meetings, charter review. The deputy recorder was spending all of her time doing minutes, all of it.
So like 40 hours a week.
Yes, between the deputy recorder doing them and the recorder reviewing them, yes.
Okay. And then I thought our citizen Pruitt had a couple of good questions that I thought were worth understanding. So other meetings, I don't know if you did you recall everything? Because I thought several of them, I'm interested in the answer as well. One of them is, would it apply to other meetings as well?
Yes, all city meetings would follow suit with this process.
Okay. And then there was some comments on the quality of the recording. Tell us a little more about where we are now and what you plan to do to improve the quality of the recording.
Well, if council would like, I can research different options. We can go to each councilor having their own microphone. I can look into different systems. It's really up to council how they want to move forward with that, but I can research it.
And am I understanding right now that we don't have a system to just transcribe? That's something we need to acquire?
Correct.
Okay, and this Otter AI.
I've done some initial research. I know the port uses it. Was gonna have a meeting with them, but Carrie Ann is out on vacation.
And
the port secretary.
And I'm understanding that the ORS will allow solely a digital, you don't have to have this technology to transcribe to start this way of
Correct.
Of capturing minutes.
Correct. Yeah, we can start right now.
Okay.
Is that really great?
No, I don't know.
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Singer, so the digital recording comes from the Zoom meeting, is that right?
Yes, right now.
From Zoom, and we currently could have captions,
Yes.
that is there any legal reason we aren't using captions currently?
Not that I'm aware of.
Because, and we need to make it clear that Zoom captions can be in other languages.
Yes, and I believe captions are turned on by the viewer, not us, but I
I
could be
think
wrong.
both could happen, so that we could be seeing them. They're not always correct, because they
Oh,
don't
no,
catch
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But I do know that once you have the captions, you can enable those captions to be,
Transcribe.
yeah, so you press
Yes.
that button. You know, knowing the caveat that it may not always be perfect, and yet I see value because we hear folks often making corrections in minutes. As I have been secretary on lots of small boards, and in my training, we're not supposed to take every word. But digitally, it is even more clear, I believe, that obviously there's no. So that's why, even though we might have some AI or transcript inadequacies, that always comes up. People say, oh, I wish this were, or can you change that? So, and as we heard from the mayor, if it's happening in other cities, then, and the value of not having our well-trained, intelligent people just taking minutes, is huge to me.
I will mention that staff, whether it's deputy recorder or city recorder, will still be at meetings in case there's some kind of failure, so we do have backup meetings. So if the video doesn't happen, we have backup.
The mayor's got a question, I'll go on that.
Yes, Mayor Fallon.
Thank you. I just would be supportive of Councilmember Seeger, his comment on the quality of the meetings. It is tough when you're on Zoom sometimes to hear everything. So Jordan, I do appreciate, I'm glad you said you'd look into it, so the quality, whether it's microphones, each one of us, or we gotta fix it, because sometimes it's really hard to hear.
And Mr. Compton.
I'm in favor of this. I think that the AI option is great for that, but we should also look into doing it as soon as possible, because yes, we can use it that system to transcribe old videos, but people that need to know what happened last council session not being able to get the minutes and stuff until once that actually the transcription comes out, because we get the software to do it, then it could be too late for some citizens. So I would say I would like a option where we make sure that that's in place before this is fully rolled out.
Mr. Seeger.
So to the point on internet access, do we have a sense on what percentage of Cascade Locks doesn't have internet? Do we have any demographic data on that?
No.
Okay. And I know that even some, like my house in Longview, Texas has internet, but my parents are internet illiterate, you know, they're 90 and 86, and you're not going to communicate them via the internet, you're just not, they're past that. And we do need other paths so they can, if they want to know about an issue we're wrestling with, they can be informed, you know, so I think that goes without saying, to, you know, one of the comments that Citizen Pruitt made. The other question, just so I'm clear, so if we implement this, and then let's say one of those senior citizens who's not internet friendly comes in and says, I'd like to see the minutes from the last council meeting, what happens? Can you explain what happens? What does that process look like? They come to City Hall and then talk me through that, please.
So we would have the AI system essentially create the minutes. We run the program either during the, I'm not 100% sure how it works, either during the meeting or next morning after the meeting, and type it out. We would double check it to make sure it's not, you know, complete gobbledygook, and then have that available if requested.
Okay, so we would print it and then hand them a printed copy.
Correct.
Of the meetings.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just want to clarify that the digital recording is the official minutes.
Yes,
though.
it's still being.
The AI transcript would be a synopsis or summary that's generated by artificial intelligence, but the official minutes for all city proceedings would be the digital recording. So to Mr. Seeger's point, if somebody comes in and asks for the official meeting minutes, it would be a digital audio file, not an AI transcript. That's how I.
Correct, yes,
Right?
yes, if they want the official minutes, it is the recording.
And so if we're gonna provide that to somebody that didn't have a computer, or internet access, is there a way that we'd be able to meet that need?
We could probably, no computer access, it would definitely be difficult. I mean, we could save it to a USB drive or something, but if they don't have any kind of computer access, then I don't think it's possible.
And just because I'm curious, I mean, how often does someone come in and ask for printed minutes? I mean, does that?
Never that I'm aware of. I mean, we have them online right now, but I've never had anybody ask us to print them out for us. But I'm not sitting at the front desk, so maybe it has happened. I wasn't told.
Yeah, I'm asking.
I see your deputy recorder is shaking her head. Mr. Miller.
Yeah, for the senior citizens that are impaired on computer systems and stuff. And if you give them a recording of it, they could take it to the library. And the librarian, I'm sure, would help them hook it up so they could see it.
That's a great solution, yeah.
So maybe like a thumb drive of the file.
Mr. Miller, you had your hand up?
Go ahead. And I believe the library has devices you can check out. Excellent. All right, any other discussion? Hearing no further discussion, we move to roll call vote. Can I ask a clarifying question? Sorry.
Yes.
So a vote of yes would ensure a written transcription.
No, a vote of, the motion is to, would you like to repeat the motion?
Yes, and may I also make a friendly amendment or repeat it first?
Let's, I guess repeat, start with what you originally motioned, and then we can move to a friendly amendment.
Okay, I motion to approve resolution 1509, designated digital recordings of the official city minutes. And seconded by Mayor Fallon. I would like to make the friendly amendment, amend. I motion to approve resolution 1509, designated digital recordings of the official city minutes with written transcripts available. Because I don't want to designate how that's done, because I still think we could possibly do it with Zoom. With written transcripts of non-official minutes available.
So the official meeting minutes is still the digital audio
Right.
recording, but there'd be a summary that could accompany that. And you're saying that your motion is that we make digital recordings the official meeting minutes, but only if AI summary transcript is also made available.
But I don't need to call it AI, but just say with written transcripts also available, non-official. Because it might be Zoom, is Zoom captioning called AI? I don't want to label it if it's not the right label. So just unofficial written.
So sorry, I think I confused everything there. Yes,
Can I just add something? Written minutes available can be the same way they're done now. So if someone requested and we didn't have AI in place or whatever in place, it's staff's doing it.
can listen to it and provide them with the answers to the questions that they have.
So I mean, so I guess what I'm saying is they would be available. They would be available right now because staff could do it.
And I know from other meetings, AI can do it for free right now, and if we turn on Zoom transcripts, we can save those, so that's available. And so that's why I just say written minutes, with unofficial written minutes available.
So let's start your motion from the top, so
Okay.
we won't interrupt you, we'll let you.
I motion to approve resolution 1509, designated digital recordings as the official city minutes with unofficial written transcripts of the minutes available.
We have a second.
I'll second that.
Mr. Seeger seconds. Any further discussion?
Doesn't Kathy need to do the second since she seconded the original one?
Mr. Seeger seconded the original.
Oh,
Oh, he did, sorry. Sorry.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing no further discussion, roll call vote.
Councilmember Compton.
Aye.
Baker. Happy.
Aye.
Keller.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Mayor Fallon.
Aye.
Seeger?
Oh.
Newbie.
Councilmember Seeger.
Aye. Motion passes. The 6C.
I will, thank you, council. I'll update you on the research regarding, AI and audio improvements. All right, resolution 1510, Juneteenth and meal reimbursement employee handbook update. At the June 24th meeting, council came to consensus to have the adoption of Juneteenth, June 19th, as an official city holiday to come to a vote before council. This requires a resolution updating the employee handbook. The employee handbook was updated in March 2024. Staff found one issue with the recent update in the handbook, section 4, wage and compensation, policies, subsection D, travel expenses, subsection meals and gratuities. An edit to that section is presented in the resolution as well. Juneteenth. In 2021, the Oregon State Legislature passed HB 2168, recognizing Juneteenth as a state holiday. Numerous Oregon cities and counties have followed suit, including our neighbors in Portland, Wood Village, City of Hood River County, Gresham, and Multnomah County. Juneteenth commemorates the day, June 19th, 1865, the U.S. Army arrived in Texas to free the last of the enslaved individuals. This change will affect section 5, employment benefits, subsection A, holidays. All language will stay the same except the addition of Juneteenth as a recognized holiday. A copy of the current language is provided in this packet. Meals and gratuities. The updated language focused on federal per diem rates hinders city staff from fully participating in network opportunities or trainings that directly benefit the city. The amount listed in the federal per diem fails to cover costs of meals, putting undue financial stress on staff to cover the rest. In addition, the updated terms do not allow for reimbursement of meals within Cascade laws. This limits city staff's ability to do networking without putting undue financial stress on the staff. So section 4, wage and compensation policies, subsection D, travel expenses, subsection meals and gratuities. The current language. Employees who travel out of town on city-approved business overnight or for extended work hours as determined by the city may request to receive a meal expense reimbursement for their actual meal costs. Reimbursements are limited to the federal per diem rates established by the U.S. General Services Administration for meals, gratuities not exceeding 20% of the cost of the meal are considered part of the actual cost of the meal. Gratuities are not separately reimbursed. Detailed receipts identifying food purchased as well as the gratuity must accompany any request for reimbursement. The city does not reimburse for alcohol beverages. Also, meal reimbursements are not available for meals that are served as part of conference or training or otherwise provided. Proposed. Reimbursement for subsistence on local official trips or in-town business will be the amount of actual and reasonable expense incurred during the performance of official duty as the city employee for the city's benefit. Receipts for the expenditure will be submitted along with expense report for reimbursement. Employees shall be cost conscious when obtaining meals. The city does not reimburse for alcohol beverages. Also, meal reimbursements are not available for meals that are served as part of conference or training or otherwise provided. Resolution 1510 provides for each amendment to be adopted or removed per council's direction. City council options: approve resolution 1510 as presented, amend and approve resolution 1510, not approve resolution 1510. I will note that this is a change back to essentially what the language was before we updated the handbook in March. Is that the meals were fully reimbursed up until a reasonable amount, which if you submit a receipt for a $60 steak, I'm not reimbursing you for that.
And screw it.
Representative Cascade Locks, the only thing I'd like to say about a couple things actually. I think Juneteenth was a discussion that was had by the last administration and that the staff decided that they would rather have 2 floating holidays. Well, those 2 floating holidays are now in the employee handbook for holidays. And if we're going to positively make this a permanent holiday, then one of those floating holidays needs to be evaporated. Also, I did have a talk with Mr. Miller, so I don't want to steal his thunder, but I'm concerned that there are 2 different things on one resolution. Because if one of these ever happens to need to be rescinded, you're going to have to rescind the whole resolution and then revote on the other portion of it or something. So I think that you should think about that.
Thank you. We got a motion? I motion to approve resolution 1510 amending the employee handbook. Second.
I second.
Motion's been seconded. There's some discussion, Mr. Miller.
Yes, now I shall thunder. June 13th, 2022, council by consensus took no action on Juneteenth. That was the last time we did it in first council. That is in the minutes of that meeting. Yes, the 2 items in one resolution, I've never seen it. I couldn't find anything in research about having two different subject matters under one resolution. These two should have been separated out and voted on separately. Because as Ms. Pruitt said, if at some time, like the meal reimbursement with federal changes and we change this one, you're gonna have to pull Juneteenth out too. So I would recommend that you bring this back with both of these as separate resolutions.
Mr. Seeger.
So maybe I'm confused, but these changes would both impact the employee handbook update, is that right?
Correct. The update the handbook.
So we're gonna see an updated handbook that reflects these
Yes.
proposals, if council approves it. And then let's say down in the future, as Councilmember Miller votes, something happens and we want, then the resolution would be specific to that and then reflect that change in the handbook, isn't that right?
Correct.
Okay. And then to that question that Susan Pruitt brought up, that we discussed Juneteenth, and then there was, I guess it sounds like an employee discussion that says, well, we'd rather not make that our day off. How about just giving us an additional float? Is that a true statement? Do we know the history there?
That's not a true statement.
So can you tell me a little, is it?
I can tell you we've had two floaters for quite some time before Juneteenth.
Okay,
That's what I know about it.
okay. So, okay, sorry, one more question. So if this is approved, how many holidays will the staff be qualified for each year? How many paid holidays will that equal?
14, if I can count.
Okay, and that, and that doesn't include the two floating holidays?
That does.
It does?
That's all of them, yeah.
Okay, so it'd be 12 official holidays for the city and then 2 floating holidays for staff.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Everly Baker.
Mr. Keller had his hand up first. Do you still have your question?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're not a question,
Okay,
it's a statement.
okay, go ahead.
It's imperative to me that the city of Cascade Locks be a leader within the community and honor the people that were enslaved. And it's a necessity, like, this shouldn't even be a question. This is a holiday, we need to recognize that it's a holiday, it's a federally recognized holiday. Let's recognize it and be a leader.
Thank you, Ms. Everly Baker.
I agree with that, and I think what Mr. Seeger was questioning about, why are they together, it's for one change in the handbook, and then should something come up, that would be its own resolution that would come up later, right? Right,
Correct. But these are not two separate items. It is one item, is an update to the handbook.
right. And then, on the 2 personal floating holidays, does that mean personal days?
Correct.
Basic, okay, good, so I agree that personal days are important as well. And that's why I agree with both of these things.
Mr. Seeger.
And with regard to the meals and gratuities, so am I understanding the history right, that prior to, when was that, in March of 24, employees who did training or travel were given a per diem, it's a flat rate on a per meal basis. And then we changed it to reimbursement for, is it the opposite?
Opposite. So
The opposite.
before March, there was no limit as long as it was reasonable. The update instituted the GSA per diem rate. We've now found out, we're 4 months into it, that it rarely, if ever, actually costs all of the meal with gratuity. And then staff ends up having to cover the cost, part of the cost themselves.
Okay, and as much as I get that, it's a reduction in efficiency because now staff has to go through all those receipts,
Correct.
do the work, and that's about quite a headache. I know that most cities don't, they go to a per diem to avoid that. You get your check, And good luck, meeting your subsistence needs for the time you're gone.
Yes.
Can you tell me what the per diem rate is right now for each meal? Again,
Yes.
in the future, I'll have all these questions.
Yes, yeah, I think for Hood River County and the non-populated parts of the state, I think it's 11 or 12 for breakfast, 15 for lunch, and like 25 for dinner. Which, if you include gratuity, doesn't get you much. I mean, not a subsistence meal, maybe a English muffin or two, but not in a breakfast.
So I think I understand what you're saying, just to clarify that point, what you're saying is the per diem rate increases efficiencies because they get a flat amount, you're gonna be gone, you're gonna miss, 3 dinners, 3 lunches and 2 breakfasts. And there would be a flat rate for that time, and here's your check.
You have to turn in new receipts,
Yeah.
that paperwork is dramatically reduced. And, yeah.
Versus having to look up all the receipts and then reimburse on actual expenses. Any other discussion on meals? As these 2 items are together, Mr. Miller?
Well, I have a discussion on Juneteenth.
Yes.
Okay. June 19th, 1865 was when General Gordon got to Galveston, Texas, and freed approximately 250,000 slaves, informed them that they were free men. No, it's Granger, not Gordon. As he was coming across the South, he was literally letting everybody know that the slaves were free. And in Galveston, they had such a large number. In the following years, they decided to have a party, or to recognize that day, which they called, at first it was called Jubilee. And then, as time went on, people moved out of Galveston and throughout the United States, and they brought their tradition with them. But some, a lot of us never even heard of Juneteenth until the government started putting it into law. So it was not a commonly known holiday because it was just in Texas. And it was a legal holiday in DC, but they had Emancipation Day, which is April 16th. And that's the one they celebrate. And here we have Juneteenth commemorates the day that the US Army arrived in Texas to free the last enslaved individuals. That's false. The last enslaved in the States were in Kentucky, and they were not freed till 6 months later, when the 13th Amendment was passed, and there were 65,000. So, and the date that we have this, a federal holiday, we have Memorial Day. 2 weeks later, we're gonna have Juneteenth. 2 weeks later, we have July 4th. We're on a 4-day wait period here. And when you have those, you're gonna, you have 3 weeks, but then like 5, they're only working 3. I can see us falling behind. I mean, it'd be different if we were on a 4-day week, but we're not, or on a 5-day week, but we're not, we're on a 4. So I would recommend that it be a floating holiday for our staff. So we're not giving up so much of that time, especially 3 in a row. I mean, you can see why the federal government didn't choose, when it was ratified January 1st, and because of that. And then when it was, passed, it was December 6th. When it, so if you had it on December sixth. Here you got Thanksgiving, then December sixth, and then you have Christmas, and then you have January first. So they picked the holiday to be Juneteenth. And I'm also a little bit suspicious of our government. In fact, I'm quite suspicious of our government. That this holiday was made a federal holiday. And it's not called Juneteenth on the federal holiday. What they called it was the Black National Independence Day, or Juneteenth National Independence Day. And I disagree with them putting Independence Day in there, since we only have one, and that is as the country, and that is all of us. Every single person in this nation. So I would vote for it if it was a floating holiday, otherwise I won't.
Thank you. Mr. Keller, I choose not to respond. Somebody break.
I just had one question for Administrator Bennett. If, apparently, have you talked to staff? Staff prefer this to the per diem? Prefer receipts
Yes.
to the per diem?
Yes.
Okay.
And Mr. Croft, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand up.
It's okay. I just wanted to reemphasize how like Juneteenth is an important holiday for a lot of minority people in our state, and on like it's just silly to quibble over, well, it's more expensive for our town to celebrate this holiday when so many people, like it's representative of so many people's becoming free. Like it seems ridiculous to me.
Any other discussion? Mr. Seeger.
So, in the staff report, you mentioned Wood River, Wood Village, Gresham as other cities and counties who are recognizing this holiday. Just for future reference, I'm always curious where our sister city is, Stevenson is doing, because I feel like they're very similar in size and challenges and everything else. Do you know if Stevenson
I
recognizes?
do not, and when I was looking at these cities, I thought about it, and they're not Washington, so I kept them specifically to Washington, because I was referring back to the House bill that was passed.
Understand, okay.
I mean, Oregon.
You meant.
Oregon, yes, sorry, Oregon.
Yeah. But besides those cities, do we have a sense on? I feel like, just, if I could riff a little, big cities and bigger cities often behave differently than small cities. And they just do, there's lots of things that drive that. Do we have a sense on how many cities across Oregon have adopted this holiday?
I do not, I couldn't.
And what that,
I tried to find like a total
breakout
number,
looks like. Okay. Okay.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts from council on Mr. Miller's comments about, recognizing the holiday, putting it in the handbook, but making it available as a floating holiday due to the work constraints. So, to address a few issues here, one, we're dealing with semantics about a day. When my son says, why are we not in school? Why is the city not open today? Why can't we do things today? I want to be able to tell my son it's because all slaves were emancipated. And he says, what was slavery? And I can have that discussion. That is the purpose of this, to recognize the cultures that have been enslaved and that have struggled in our society. And Mr. Miller, those slaves were not independent. They did not have the ability to make an independent choice. They were treated as farm stock. And so when they became free, they became independent in their own thought and in their own actions, just as the United States became free from Great Britain. And I can't believe that we're discussing semantics here. It's honoring people that were enslaved. It's recognizing this happened in our society and honoring the culture that exists as a result of that. can we just vote and like, let's move forward?
Assembly Baker, yes.
I wanted to say thank you for that, and that it's important, when you look in this room, the racial diversity is missing. And we need to be explicit in whether we talk about disability concerns for our minutes. We need to be explicit in saying we honor this day and we're shut down on this day. There are events that happen that people can attend. There are, to point out that we acknowledge the sad history of slavery in America, and we honor the independence of this group of people, recognizing the diversity that is still from generational racism, still keeping folks from being here, I believe, this council. So it's important to have the day off.
I had one quick thing. Hood River County School District offers it and recognizes it as an official holiday. It isn't a paid holiday, but it is a holiday.
And I just wanted to add, in the interest of time, I think we do need to keep moving, but I think that it is really valuable that we have a diverse discussion. All the opinions, we don't have to agree with each other, but I think it's really important that we get these thoughts out because they do reflect the demographic of the citizens who feel, might have questions about why or why not City Hall is open on Juneteenth. So, and Mr. Seeger.
Yeah, so when the city went to this 4-day work week, was there a discussion about the effect of the holiday schedule having on basically the benefit, package that the employees are receiving? You see what I'm asking? Did you guys contemplate, what do you say, we go to then those hours are 10-hour days we're getting off as a result of this change? Was that contemplated, and then we talk about, again, to Councilmember Miller's point, you're losing, you're losing productivity when you have shorter work weeks, but they have the same amount of holidays or even expanded holiday. Did you guys go through that?
The only one really touched on was the day after Thanksgiving, because that would have been Friday anyways, and we followed the standard procedure of bumping everything back a day. We only would have been open Monday and Tuesday the week of Thanksgiving. So we actually turned that into a floating holiday that can only be taken after Thanksgiving. We have 2 staff, not including the paramedics, because they have their own weird schedule. We have 2 staffs that work a regular scheduled day on that Friday, and they do get that day off as scheduled. But the other staff will use it as a floating holiday, only to be used after Thanksgiving. So the month of December.
Yeah, so where I'm at on this is I'm in favor of acknowledging Juneteenth, but given the productivity needs we need for the city, my bias is to say reduce one of the floating holidays, basically in exchange for Juneteenth. So you get now 1 floating holiday, but now you're getting Juneteenth off. That would be my favor. That would be my preference. I don't know if that would amend the motion or.
It's really big.
Are you suggesting that when we went to the 4-day work week, the day after Thanksgiving then was sort of a 10 hours of productivity given back? Is that what you were saying? I was confused, like, because you said we did take into account the day after Thanksgiving.
But he said it also rolled back, it just moved back a day, so now they get Wednesday, Thursday.
Correct, yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so we're still open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday then. We take off Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving, the day after is the floating holiday to be used anytime between Thanksgiving and the end of the year.
And that one of the 2 mentioned here?
That's settled.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Councilmember Crompton.
Aye.
Baker. Aye. Seeger.
No.
Happy.
Aye.
Keller.
Aye.
Miller.
No.
Mayor Fallon.
Hi.
Motion passes.
Thank you, council. We'll get the handbook updated and out to staff this week.
Right, on to 16.
All right, approved water and wastewater, cost of service analysis and rate study quote. The last time a cost of service analysis and rate study for both water and wastewater was performed was unknown. I will take that back. I have learned since then that the last time one was done was when Nestle was being recruited. Whether those figures are actually implemented, I don't know. So the last time the water base rate and usage rate were updated were in 2013, but I don't know if that study was used to determine those rates. Wastewater rates have not been updated since 2004. The adopted 2024-2025 budget provided $50,000 each to perform a cost of service analysis and rate study for each service, water and wastewater. City Administrator Bennett received 3 quotes for the COSA and rate study. FCS Group for $69,810, GDS Associates $40,260, Trilogy Consulting $29,850. At the time of putting the packet out, staff had not had a chance to fully review each. After reviewing and performing reference checks, city staff recommend Trilogy Consulting. Every reference I called for them gave absolutely glowing reviews. Not a single bad thing to say about them. Attached for review are the resolutions that set the current rates and each of the proposals. City council options are to approve a quote for water and wastewater COSA and rate study, and approve a quote for, or not approve any quote for water or wastewater. And I did talk to all of them, and they all recommended that it is done together. You use one consultant to do both, not put it out to different firms.
It's true.
Can you answer which one he's recommending? Sorry,
Trilogy Consulting,
which is how much?
29.
That's thank you, sorry. I don't have my, I loved it, sorry. Okay, Tiffany Pruitt, City of Cascade Lodge. So, when did council have this discussion? I've been going to meetings for over a year now, and I do not remember this discussion coming up. I do not remember council making the recommendation to the city administrator to go forward with this. I do not remember, did not remember it being discussed in budget, because if it would have been discussed in budget, we would have had a line item in the wastewater material and services and the water material and services splitting the cost of the $50,000. I did go back and watch one of them, the 422 budget meeting, was it 4 or 522 budget meeting. And Mr. Councilmember Happy did happen to bring up, well, the COSA, the wastewater water COSA covered. And Mr. Bennett, City Administrator Bennett, sorry, said it was in contingency, and for some reason it didn't raise a red flag when we were doing it, because I would have suggested that we do it the right way so that we can see where the money's going instead of using a contingency fund as a piggy bank. But there's been no discussion on this by council. Citizens have not been able to know that this is coming and not been able to have discussion on this, because here it is, we've already got 3 bids, nothing has ever been discussed by this body. Who represents us, and it's a little frustrating, it's just very frustrating, and I'm also concerned, you know, I don't want the contingency fund to be used as a piggy bank for doing all of these different things. Put it in the line item so that we see what it's going to be used for. Don't make it seem like we have a bigger contingency than we really do, because we've already spent this money, and because we passed the budget, it's already been approved to be able to do this. That's not what I signed up for being on the budget. I signed up on being on the budget to see what, you know, what things the city has in store and what for us, the citizens, and how the money is going to be spent. And when things like this are just pulled out of the contingency, that's not very transparent, and it's frustrating because, you know, nobody knows what's going on until, whoa, lo and behold, here it is on the agenda. It's is just frustrating. I just would like to know, did council have this discussion? I know, I actually asked City Administrator Bennett, and he said, no, it has not been had, so how did we get here? I wanna know how this council got here. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion.
I motion to approve the quote from Trilogy to perform cost of service analysis and rate study for water and wastewater services to be paid out of the sewer and water reserve funds.
We have a second.
I second.
Motion and second discussion. Emily Baker.
I appreciate the heads up that we have not updated our water base and usage rates since 2013 and wastewater rates since 2004. I know that we have discussed in the past, we've had this study done, cost of service analysis or a similar acronym for electricity. And I know it's important. We can't move forward without these studies. I appreciate that we have 3 variable bids and that the lowest one is also the one that is recommended by references, and it is the one that I would have recommended. Going through the plethora of information we received. So while I do agree, maybe having a discussion prior to an action item would give citizens more opportunity to comment. It was in the minute, in the agenda, and I do think it's timely. So, and we ask these people to go through the trouble of bidding, which is not an easy task for them, and rates will go up if we wait. So that's why I'm for it for now.
Thank you. Mr. Seeger.
So, just a couple of questions. So, for the city administrator, the $50,000 that says it was budgeted for 24-25 for rate study for each service, was that 50,000 per utility?
Yes,
Okay, so we actually budgeted 100,000.
yes.
And what is being proposed is from Trilogy, the utility about 30,000 to do both utilities. Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Let's say
Yeah,
that's good news. And then my question. And are we correct in understanding that this wasn't a line item in the budget, it was pulled from contingency?
no, it is a line item in the reserve funds. We talked about this at the budget meeting.
That's right.
It was a very quick conversation and we moved on. I remember what we moved on to, and we had a full discussion about how the sewer rate, apples to apples, cannot fund the department, and it needed to be done. This discussion never happened at a council meeting, but there is general consensus from the budget committee, which is also the council, that this needed to be done.
So if council approves this, what's the timeline?
They will have rates for initial review before Thanksgiving, with time to review it and implement it for the new rates to go into effect January 1.
Okay, well, this is one of the items that, as I contemplated, putting my name in the hat for council, that I was hoping we would work on. So I'm very much in support of this work. I'm glad you found, seems like a good consultant to take it on. And this is the critical first step in making our utilities whole, so they can pay their bills, both operational and from a capital perspective. And we can be responsible stewards of this critical asset for all those things I talked about, like economic development. I promise you, one of the things we worked on in Lewis County was Packwood. It's now non-incorporated city in the county. And all development got shut down because they did not have the sewer capacity to take it on. And the state said, you have sewage that's not being treated because of your antiquated, basically septic system. And we can no longer approve development in this community. So it is that critical. If you do it wrong, you will create a mess, and I don't want to see that mess. So I'm very supportive of this board.
Any other discussion? Mr. Miller?
Yeah, I know this work has to be done, but we also have the responsibility to inform our citizens of what we're doing there. And by rushing this in like this without them even, where they just see this, boom, we're gonna spend this amount of money on this. We're not giving them time to weigh in if they need to. And so, since we did not have any real discussion on it, I would say we should not be voting on it very tonight. We should give our citizens a chance to weigh in if they want to. That's it.
It was in my notes from the budget review, and I remember that discussion, because that was when I learned a little bit more about what an enterprise fund means. And how water, sewer, and electric are funds that are supposed to be run like their own businesses and actually provide money and income to the general fund. And how, you know, we had a lot of discussion about the sewer fund, how it was really an anchor that was, you know, holding back the general fund. So I am supportive of this, and I felt like this was something we talked about during budget meeting, budget review. Any other discussion? Hearing no further discussion, we move to a roll call vote.
Councilmember Compton.
Aye.
Baker. Aye. Seeger.
Aye.
Happy.
Aye.
Keller.
Aye.
Miller.
No.
Mayor Fallon.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to 6E, committee appointments.
All right, below is a list of vacant seats on each committee. Tourism has 7 seats and 1 vacancy. Budget committee has 7 council seats. I guess is now filled, has 7 community seats with the or the appointment of Mr. Seeger to council. We now have 2 budget vacancies. We have received 1 application for tourism and or budget committee. Mr. Nathan Jones, the Mayor Fallon has moved to appoint Nathan Jones to both the tourism and budget committee. Council options are to confirm appointment of applicant to tourism and budget committee, confirm appointment to tourism committee only, confirm appointment to budget committee only, or not appoint to any.
I motion to appoint Nathan Jones to the tourism and budget committee.
I second.
Discussion? Seer.
Just for the record, there's another vacancy planning commission that will be created. I don't.
Oh, that's right, yeah, you can't, well,
No.
they keep calling a liaison. I know each city does it differently, but yeah. Correct, thank you.
Any other discussion?
I'd like to know a little bit more, Nathan. I'm sorry, I haven't kind of reviewed the packet. Can someone give me a quick summary?
You have his.
You want to take a minute to review that?
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Do we have any years of or months of residence requirements for either of these committees?
No, just residents, no,
Planning a year?
no, doesn't require a year. Did you say planning?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know on that one, I'd have to check. He did actually apply for all 3, but at the time of the application, when this was submitted, Councilor Seeger had not been appointed yet, so there was no vacancy on plan.
And your motion was to appoint him to budget and tourism, correct?
That's what the
Yes.
mayor appointed him to, and you guys are confirming, so unless the mayor wants to appoint Mr. Jones to planning now. Right now, it's just tourism budget.
Mayor Fallon, do you want to make an adjustment to that, or do you want to leave them on just budget and tourism?
How about, I think for now to leave them on tourism and budget. I'm a little leery of putting one person in 3 different roles. He's Nathan, Mr. Jones sounds very qualified. And I think we'll be lucky to have him, but I'd like to try him on tourism and budget. We might have a further discussion here in another month, but let's get a chance to talk with him.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we move to roll call vote.
Councilmember Compton,
Aye.
Emmeline Baker. Aye. Seeger,
Aye.
Happy,
Aye.
Keller,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mayor Fallon.
Aye.
Motion passes. 7, reports and presentations, committee reports,
No committee reports tonight.
and 7B, city administrator Bennett report.
Okay, I got a couple of items. First, community liaison Robert Camelucci will be stepping down from the position at the end of August. He and I are working together to review the job and prepare for a new community liaison. This is also coinciding with doing the job description updates. So hopefully have that job up for applications here in a couple weeks. DEQ fine, the city had been issued a fine by Oregon DEQ for the collection of wastewater violations. The total penalty was $14,700. One of the violations occurred at the Marine Park pump station, roughly a month after the new pump was installed. I reached out to our city attorney regarding warranty of work and if the city should pay that portion of the fine. This fine was expected. We had got a notice that we may receive a fine. We actually budgeted $15,000 for it, so it was a pretty good guess. A copy of the report is attached. Downtown Revitalization Open House. As part of the Downtown Revitalization Plan, the University of Oregon will be hosting an open house Wednesday, July 24th at 5:30 at Thunder Island Brewing. The goal is to interact with the community as much as possible and get their input, the good and the bad of our downtown. A copy of the flyer is attached. They will also be doing a downtown walkthrough at 3:30 p.m. with the members of the committee and anyone interested in attending. So that will start at Thunder Island Brewing at 3:30 p.m.
I have some questions about this. The city putting their logo and inviting people to happy hour at a drinking establishment. I don't believe that the city should be in that sort of business. What about our liability if somebody happens to get drunk that night and come out of there and get in an accident? Does the city bear responsibility because their logo's on there encouraging people to come there? If we're gonna have an open house to discuss things, we should try to get the pavilion or put it down in it depending on size, this room or the other room. But not in a drinking establishment. I don't think the city should be in the business of selling beer.
I'd like to add a comment on that. Coming from the Oregon Mayors Association conference, we did talk about different public meetings and they're commonly held in movie theaters, pubs, bowling alleys. It's going to where different demographics of people are. And so, to address Mr. Miller's concern about the city being liable, any establishment that has a liquor license, it's their license. If they're serving one who, and somebody gets intoxicated, that's on the license, the business that's serving the beer. But it is very, very common for meetings that cities host to be in all sorts of different areas.
Thank you, Mayor Fallon.
Yes, and I've seen at cities where they have meetings or events at, whether it's a First Friday or an art walk. And there is alcohol and the city logo is there. And as a as a point, and I know that the committee, there was a lot of outreach for folks to be on the downtown revitalization committee. And one of the lifts joined, so other folks could have joined and said, a lot of people come to this event anyway, so, you know, why don't we do this? But maybe for future reference, we don't put happy hour on city events maybe, or, and it would be nice to say, no purchase necessary, I think. Since it's at a business, that would say, yeah, no purchase necessary, so everybody feels welcome, maybe no purchase necessary, I don't know, sodas offered or something. You know, that's just for the future, I'm glad this is happening and I'm gonna be there, but, I appreciate Mr. Miller's thoughts on not saying happy hour.
Mr. Seeger.
I second that comment. And just so I'm a little clearer, so is this gonna happen in the outdoor tent area or inside? Do we know?
I believe inside, but I'm not 100% sure. This has been organized between U of O staff who are leading this and Thunder Island Brewing, so I'm not sure if it's inside or outside.
And for what it's worth, when I was working here, we would meet at, it's now Bridgeside, I forgot what it's called before that. Charburger, and we would do an action team meeting there maybe once a month, and they serve alcohol, like, it was never problematic, so I'm not too worried about that aspect of it. But I concur with like happy hour, seems like we're almost promoting this, and that's probably not a role, so this is about the business. Have a light refreshment, and then let's focus on the work at hand.
Yeah, the thought was it's an already established event that residents go to at Thunder Island, and we piggyback off of it. So people who were going there just to go there, we capture them if they even had no clue this event was happening, so.
Is it too late to make adjustments to the flyer?
We can, it's already been out for a week, but we can.
Okay, so it's like a day.
I don't endorse
I
that.
mean,
No, yeah.
Leave it alone.
I guess I can have legal counsel double check it next time, but
We'll get them next time.
I appreciate Mr. Miller's comments, though, and I really appreciate Mayor Fallon addressing those with, you know, how that's happening in other cities and the historical context and awareness that this is something that we've done previously at Charburger, which also sold alcohol. I think minimizing exposure to the city for liability is it's a good concern to have, so I'm glad we could have this discussion. Thank you. Want to keep rolling on here?
yep, I will be out next week. I'll be out of town taking care of some family issues. As it states here, it is a 3-week span between council meetings. So I want to interrupt the delivery of packets or any council meeting items. For the next council meeting on 8/14, I don't think that's right, 8/12, for the work session, I'd like to discuss the sheriff's contract. They have provided a updated contract for us to review. I've reviewed it, I've sent it to the city attorney to review. So I'm hoping to have an updated version for council to review at 8/14. And then have it for approval at the next meeting for 8/12 and approval on 8/26 for adoption for when their service goes back into effect on September 1st. If there's consensus for that to be the work session discussion, I appreciate it.
That sound good to
Yeah.
everybody?
So we're gonna discuss the contract that you're giving them, or we're going to add to that contract? We're gonna.
Say it again.
Are we discussing the contract before you submit it? Before they've given one to you to look
Correct,
at?
they gave me one, I reviewed it, it went to the attorney, I sent it back to them. Want to have some kind of general consensus on the staff level before it gets reviewed at the administrative or the legislative level.
And when we have that more in-depth conversation, is it your intention to bring somebody from the sheriff's office?
Yes, yeah, either the sheriff or the county administrator will be at that meeting.
Thank you.
And I might as well just ask now, since it was brought up at a League of Oregon Cities, Small Cities meeting here, that some cities ask for a percent of funds that are that the sheriff's department gets from tickets in that city? Are we getting any of that?
I brought that up to the city attorney, he was hesitant on that. I told him I'd leave that up to you guys, so this is something I wanted to discuss at that workshop. He thought it might turn in some legal hairy gray areas and reporting issues, so.
And I will make the commitment to reach out to League of Urban Cities to ask what cities do that.
I think because the sheriff's department's under county, you would have to address that to the county supervisors.
Yeah, they'll have to approve the contract as well.
Yeah.
I would encourage council, if you have any questions, to email those to Jordan, so he has an opportunity to have answers prepared for you.
all you had?
I did a supplemental report with final or finance statements through the end of June. There's a few end of year bills still being processed, but for the most part, this is where we stand for the end of fiscal year 23-24. Most of the funds, well, the beginning fund balances are not in here because until the audit is complete, we don't know the exact numbers. But even without those beginning fund balances added in, most of the funds are doing well. If you had a chance to look through it, the two that have some glaring concerns are the beginning or the general fund as well as the fire and EMS. The biggest driver for the expenses for the general fund was the contracted CFO. That expense was much more than I anticipated when we put this budget together last year. However, talking to CFO Bonnie, now has a year under his belt, knows how the city works, how the auditors work. He believes the cost will be cut down by more than half. So the 90,000 we budgeted this year should be plenty. And then for the fire and EMS, they're waiting on final calculations for billing revenues and technical. They process when the paramedics go out for a call, whatever it is, they then submit the bill to tactical then submits it to the insurance company, so we don't have to deal with the wonderful world of medical insurance, and they do it all, and then we get the money. So all of that still being finalized, that should be about another $50,000, putting it in the black for the year. On top of the beginning fund balance that's not added, so. We are now up to date. Staff will be taking over the monthly finance reports, so assuming there's no hiccups, the previous month's report will be provided at the second meeting of the month. So the July report will be provided at the August 26th meeting.
And then just a point of clarification, because it came up during budget review, and I think it was Mr. Seeger that asked, would it be possible for, because we're 2 audits behind right now. Plan was to get one of those 2022 audit complete by 12/31. And I think you were pushing to see if it was possible to get current with both audits that are behind
Yes,
schedule, and you
yes.
committed to that. So I
Yes,
wanna
we
make
will
sure-
have them, hopefully, the timeline we have is March, just get both of them completed
So both of them, not by 12/31, but by March.
by March, yeah, before we roll into the next budget season.
When will we have the first one?
So we have submitted all the documents to Aldrich and Associates, I think we did about 2 weeks ago, so they are finalizing or working on the 21-22 audit right now. I'm hoping they can get it wrapped, they're all taking their summer vacations too. So not great timing, but hopefully have it wrapped up in a presentation to council either in August or September.
Okay, so
Yeah.
August or September, we're hoping that we'll have one of those audits done. Which year is that? Is that 2022?
21-22,
21-22.
yeah.
And then 22-23 is the one that we're hoping we can have that one completed by March.
We'll have both of them, 22-23 and 23-24, the year that just ended by March of next year.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we'd be completely caught up. Because we're supposed to have them done, so the fiscal year ends June 30th, we're supposed to have them done and submitted to the state by December 31st, by the end of the calendar year.
All right, so say that one more time.
So we have 6 months from the end of the fiscal year to get our audits into the state, Department of Revenue? I can remember what department it was, for their records.
So we'll have them done not by 12/31, so they will still be late.
Correct, it'll still be late, we can file, we've been giving them reports on how we're progressing, so they know what's going on.
And then going forward, do you expect that we'd have any difficulty?
No.
Sorry, I don't mean to belabor this point, but I feel like, you know, we talked a lot about our financial situation we're in and trying to correct that, and then COSA was one of those big pieces of the puzzle to address that. Getting our beginning fund balances established, required that we have our reconciliations current and get the audits caught up, so thank you for the update on that. Okay. All right, moving on to mayor and councilor comments. Want to start with Mr. Keller?
I just wanted to check in on the sewer. I went for a run on Saturday, and it smelled again. And I don't know what's going on, because it was a substantial west wind, and the smell is due south. Do we have an idea?
The manhole you talked about
Yes,
the other day.
yes.
So what we're thinking with that, so this is the manhole that's just, I don't know what, a couple hundred feet up Shahala, right?
Yes.
Is that one is serviced through. So that's near the junction point of where the industrial site one goes, where Frame and Bear Mountain are in the rest of the city. They kind of meet and head towards the treatment plant just downhill from that. And it's a vault, and it only pumps when it reaches a certain limit. So what they're thinking is that because really the only people that use that vault on the industrial end are Bear Mountain and Free, it sits there for quite a while before it gets to the level it needs to pump. So it's turning septic, which is the extra smell, and that's the one that finally flows through. That's why it's causing the smell when it's flowing through. That's what their thesis is. In terms of the smell from the plant itself, which I don't think that's causing it, but it might.
Well, I don't think so, because it's due south.
It's due south, okay. Yeah, I always get those confused. That's what they're thinking, but we're not 100% sure without really diving into the sewer system itself.
Okay, so I guess my concern is, the city just had a huge update to the sewer. I have never smelled this in my many years, I mean, not like 8 years of running, and it's a new thing, like.
I would guess based on what they said, it was a smaller vault. And so it emptied out more often, and so now it's a much bigger vault, so it sits there longer, and so it turns septic, and then the smell goes from 1 to 10, once it turns septic.
So then, how is that the impact? Could that be the impact that those businesses are incurring near the sewage plant?
I don't think so, no, I think that smell was from the plant itself, from the way it was, while it was being updated, how it was being operated.
And it's fixed?
That is fixed, yes.
Okay, and then second of all, bike lanes. I counted 4 cars on my drive-in today that are parked in a bike lane. Mr. Miller's thesis that we have lots of bikers commuting through this town is, what's the city ordinance on parking in bike lanes?
You can't do it.
Yeah, you can't.
So then how do we get this enforced?
That'd be us, I'd have to double check it, but I'm gonna be us tagging the vehicle for it to be towed.
It's covered in the city code under traffic. The rules are all in there.
I'll look it up and see how we can take quicker action. So do you know like a specific area it tends to be happening?
By the airport?
By the airport, okay.
Yes, sure.
On that, I'll start with that note. Thank you again, staff, for everybody for being here. Thank you in particular for Courtney for coming back a third time, and I hope we will run. And thank you to the mayor for sharing. Always, I know you ask pertinent questions about our city at conferences, and I appreciate that. You know, when I'm out, I do that as well, and I'm sure we all do, because we want to hear what other folks are doing and what advice. And on this comment, I don't know if it was at a council meeting or the downtown revitalization committee where there was a sheriff who said, when I was with somebody who said, wow, the cars are parked on the bike lane and what would be the sidewalk at East Wind. How do we control that? Because I am very frightened to walk down to Marine Park through East Wind traffic, looking at the menu, and they're right where And he said the sheriff said that is one of the things that they can do as well, that they, when they're here, they can.
Okay.
And of course, on that note, Downtown Revitalization Committee includes ODOT, who owns Winapa, so I hope if folks cannot come to this open house, that you reach out. Is Amanda Ferguson's email or to the city with the things that you want to share. I imagine Mr. Bennett, Administrator Bennett, because we do need better painting on our bike lanes within the downtown, and then I'm not sure, do sidewalks across driveways get painted with lines so that people don't park? But that's something that the downtown revitalization plan will work on, because we do have a lot of driveways with all the gas stations and east wind. So bikers and pedestrians, they're not even safe on the sidewalk necessarily, and the crossing. So input on the downtown revitalization plan includes input on traffic and whatnot, but just so folks know that as well. And I want to point out that the Main Street Cascade Locks is always looking for volunteers. We're just getting going. It's different than the downtown revitalization plan. I want people to know that this downtown revitalization plan is a city plan, and we have the efforts of the University of Oregon because of a grant. And the Main Street Cascade Locks is fortunate that we get to use the work they're doing as well to help with our strategic planning, so that they're different, but anybody who wants to be involved. I did go to a Main Street conference in Reedsport last week with another Main Street board member, and they watched great things happening. A developer who is an alum of the town, who now lives in Reedsport, is putting a lot of money and bringing other investors to Reedsport. He looked for a town that had the economic development district, that had a Main Street. He knows how to find tax breaks and loans and funds, and they are restoring many elderly buildings with first floor commercial and upstairs housing. He can build a housing unit for 70,000 rather than 100,000 new in some of the older buildings, and we may not have that many, but that was exciting to watch what they're doing and meet folks from all over Oregon, cities the same size as ours, and hear what they're doing as well. So if you want to know more about that, that's on the social media channels, but Main Street Cascade Locks at gmail.com. But so I want the community's voice heard. In this downtown revitalization committee, you don't have to be on the committee to be heard. That's why they're doing the open house. That's why you can email Jordan, and it's exciting time that we can get these things done. I want to always point out that the code enforcement is so important, and I'm sorry that we're losing Kamaluchi, that was just here for a short while, that I remember talking to Hillsborough County Sheriff since I live downtown when they drive, and I asked him, what can we do to increase public safety? And he said, code enforcement, code enforcement, code enforcement. So the more that we have that person looking after things, that helps the sheriff as well. And I wanna, so I hope that we get that job filled soon. And then I also wanted to always keep in our forefront the almost $1 million we're meant to spend on the McCord Creek electrical move that's coming up. And did you hear from League of Oregon Cities about who to contact for Travel Oregon?
I don't recall receiving anything from them.
Okay, because I CC'd you both. I'll follow up again because Scott from League of Oregon Cities Legal at our small cities meeting said, well, if we're giving electricity to Malone Falls, there are other agencies that should be helping fund this. So I just want to put that out there, that if we all have to speak about that at any meetings we go to, looking for funding because we haven't paid it yet, right? And then just saying thank you, everyone. It's July. We had a great 4th of July. We already mentioned that. Everyone for all you're doing in this busy time. Thank you.
Mr. Seeger.
Well, I guess I just thank council for the appointment. I appreciate you putting a little trust in me. And looking forward to doing what I can to work on the things that we discuss. And you know, I love Cascade Locks, so it's an easy sell for me. And if there's other folks who want to help me keep Cascade Locks clean, we're getting folks. I lost Tamara. She was a picker and now she's moving. And another one of my pickers is moving out at the beginning of August. So we'd like to refill those ranks and keep your section of the town clean. It takes you once a week. You walk a mile, half a mile, however you want, grab some litter, and everybody wins. It's a more attractive community. And it creates a vibe that when folks come to town, they go, man, this is a clean place. And I would like to think eventually it's gonna be a day when everywhere is clean and no one wants to throw a litter anymore. So that's my long-term goal. It's probably multi-generational, but I'm gonna start right now. And if you want to join me, just send me a message on Facebook. I'm easy to find there. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Mr. Miller.
Oh, I'd like to congratulate Bernard on becoming a council member. I know he'll be a great addition and will help us, especially in the financial area. I'd also like to thank staff for all their hard work and stop it. They have seemed to just stop doing anything down there. And I've had people ask me, is the city holding them up? So does the city have any
We're not.
permits or anything that?
The last thing they're working on is a sign permit.
Signs.
But that they can open up without a sign.
Yeah.
I don't, again, Kathy, City Recorder Woosley does it. They originally bought a sign that is way too big and is outside of our sign standards. And I'm not sure where it left off at that, but it's just a sign. Nothing is stopping them from opening. The land use issue's been settled. They should be working with the county to do building permits, so.
Okay. I just didn't want to make sure the city wasn't.
We had suggested the port do one, I can't think of the word now, where it's not just for a stop sign, it's for the port. So they can do whatever signage the port needs to do at Marine Park, instead of having to do one every single time, conditional use. I think that's what it is. So they can do whatever signage they need, not have to do a new conditional use application for each sign, so.
Yeah, okay. And I had a couple citizens point out a person who is supposed to be a known drug dealer. And he's staying at the Bridge of the Goddess Motel, and they say it's McCack that sent him there. Like we had that problem before.
Yeah.
And if it is them that has done it, I would like to see us stop funding McCack. Because we don't need any help in getting drug dealers here, because they do come here. And also on finance, I think we need to start advertising for a financial director. Get somebody in here and start doing that. I mean, 65,000 was what we were offering. And here we're paying almost 100,000 for another company. We could be paying for our financial director on our own. We may have to up it from that 65,000, but we need to get that out there. And I'd like to thank Courtney and Albert and Sarah and Kat and Tiffany for speaking tonight, and that's it.
Mr. Compton.
You're muted.
He's muted.
I'm not muted.
Good.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
I just want to thank staff for their hard work and everybody who chooses to come and speak to these meetings. It's very important to the process. I want to welcome Bernard to the council, and I'll keep it short. That's it.
Mayor Fallon.
Hello. First of all, I'd like to thank staff always for, gosh, that was a big packet. So really appreciate that being available in form of an email so I could go through everything while I'm traveling. Big thank you to Chief Logan. He kept me updated and is continuing to keep me updated, and Jordan as well, all through the conference about the fires. We have another fire, it's in their county up at a Hood River. But there's a lot of things going on. I would encourage people, if you don't know about the app called, what is it, Watch Duty? And I would encourage everyone to try that out, and it'll give you any update that you can get at any time. So if you're wondering how big a fire is or anything like that, just go on Watch Duty and you can type in your state, your surroundings and everything. It's really a great app. Thank you to Courtney and Bernard for both applying for this position. It was a tough decision. Welcome, Bernard, to council. Glad to have you. I like the comment about from Mr. Miller about getting a finance director. That's something I think that we can all talk about. Good subject matter. Courtney, I would encourage you to run. There's 3 open seats, and so I think it'd be a good idea. So let me see. Also, welcome to Nathan, Mr. Jones, on tourism and budget. Thank you to Albert Nance for reporting that it was $700 for the shelter. That's pretty good for an event. That was really good. Sarah Crook from CAT, I would like to see that more in a presentation. Also, if there's incentives to be given out, they could give ice cream cones out in Cascade locks. So maybe some of those incentives, I'll reach out to her and talk to her about that. Oh my gosh, the mayor's conference this past week down in Klamath Falls, really very, very good conference. Learned a lot. There was a Main Street one, learned more about that. Had a good conversation with ODOT, the guy in charge of ODOT. That was interesting. That was really good. Talked to about the bridge. And also back up when I met with, or was able to ask questions with Senator Wyden up in Hood River at the town hall. I'm still in conversation with Bree that works with him. And so working on hopefully getting a conversation with Senator Wyden and Mayor Rod Cross. He is the OMA president. And so hopefully, because many cities are experiencing the same challenges we are with police and funding them. So that's on topic as well with Mr. Wyden. Gosh, at the OMA baskets, thank you to all of the businesses that donated. We had a budget of $250 from tourism, which every cent of that was spent in Cascade locks. But with the donations and what we spent, we had the value up over $1,600. And so I was able to split up the baskets and make 2. And our baskets combined went for just a little under $900. So we were right up there. And but they were very appreciative. We broke the record from last year. All the mayors, we just purchased tickets, we purchased the baskets, and 100% of that goes into a scholarship fund. And that's how I was able to attend this year. They paid for 4 nights at the hotel, plus my conference fees. So I just want to say, Cascade Locks, we showed up, we're pretty competitive with our basket, and it went over really well. Everyone was very thankful for that. Encourage everyone to attend on the 24th, Thunder Island. It is very important to hear from the public. Going off just the surveys we've done at the picnics for the last 3 years, people, they want to see a civic center. They want different services, and so this is their opportunity to go and and say what's important and what you value. So go to that. I'm sure they'll have more public meetings as well. And I think that's it. Thank you, Pete, Councilmember Pete Happy, for running the meeting this evening, and I will be back in about a week. So anyway, that's it.
Thank you, Mayor Fallon. Really appreciate the discussion this evening. We had, it's been a long meeting, but we did get through 5 different action items, and there were a lot of meat to those that we had to discuss, and I felt like there was a good debate from everyone involved. So I really appreciate everybody's participation in that. I'm really excited about being able to move to a digital format for our meeting minutes and free up our staff to have more time available for other things that need to get done. I was curious, whether, the recording, when we're on Zoom, it's so hard to hear, and I was wondering, what would the cost be to add a 3rd or 4th owl? So that way they maybe be placed closer to the people that are speaking, and how would that compare to, either tablets or like PCs for each council member? I mean, I think you can get a computer now for $200. It doesn't have to be super fancy. Radcom might be able to give us some technology advice on that. But I do think it's not about a fancy new toy for council members. It's really about access for people that are trying to participate in council meetings, and maybe they're not able to make it to City Hall. And so being able to listen and hear on Zoom, I think everybody sitting here has probably attended one of these meetings on Zoom and knows how hard it is. We can hear them very well, but they can't hear us as well. And especially with that being now the official meeting minutes, I think we have to have a better audio recording. So good discussion on that. I really appreciate Ms. Pruitt's comments on that. Again, really appreciative of Ms. Kyle and Mr. Seeger showing up. And you've been here for every council meeting I can think of for a long time. And really a lot of participation, and we're so fortunate to have 2 qualified people that want to help our city. So thank you. And I guess, and then I talked about the finance stuff. Very excited that we got the COSA for wastewater and the water funds. That we got that going. That along with the audits, I think is a big step forward towards our financial, the long-term financial health of the city. And I appreciate, Mr. Miller, I echo your sentiments. I'd like to see that instead of paying $90,000 to a contract employee, what if we had $90,000 in our budget for a salaried employee for the city? How many $90,000, do you know, what does that equate to as far as hours? Like, how many hours are we getting for that?
I'd have to look at the report, I don't know.
But we'd probably be getting more hours, I mean, if we had someone here.
Oh, yes.
40 hours a week, right? I mean, so I think that's we advertised that before 65,000, we didn't get any takers, but it might be a different story if we were actually advertised it for what we're currently spending for contracts, CFO services.
Possibly.
Well, I wouldn't start at 90, I'd start probably at 75 to 80.
See if we can save some money.
Yeah, and see how that went.
Yeah.
Well, you do have to take into account benefits as well that we pay out.
Yeah, good point. That's all I've got. Thank you, everybody. And get a motion to adjourn. I motion to adjourn. Second. And roll call vote.
Councilmember Compton,
Aye.
Emily Baker. Aye. Seeger.
Aye.
Happy.
Aye.
Keller.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Mayor Fallon.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Yay.
Meeting adjourned.
Where's she at that she's doing?